Hi class, it's me, Seth Muller, back again with you here on the Friday of our second week of our summer session of English 110. So we are halfway through time-wise with our session. Not quite work-wise, but we're definitely getting there with this completion of paper one on Monday. I think that's going to put us past the halfway mark for the work for this semester. Just want to kind of check in, share some thoughts about this week and some notes for some upcoming assignments and things to keep in mind as we go. As a class, we're getting into a really good groove. We've definitely seen those discussion boards lighting up. I've seen some really close readings of the text, some thoughtful ideas presented, so that's been wonderful to read. And then we've also had some really nice responses to fellow students. So definitely keep up the good work. And if I'm nudging you along in a few places, hope that you'll be able to step up in some of those areas. What's been impressive to me is that the drafts are really pulling together nicely for paper one. The ones that I've read looked really strong, and I know Bailey was really pleased with the drafts that she saw in a number of cases. And we're also seeing in the SI sessions some really great thought put into those. So I'm really pleased with that. I think we're making great progress. Still a good bit of work to do before Monday, but I think we have the time to close out and make those papers really strong and come through. Something to work on, I would just make sure you are paying close attention to the assignments and how they're described, and paying attention to the discussion prompts, making sure that you're reading those closely, answering all the questions that are needed, or providing all the aspects that are needed for the assignment. So I've had a few places where there's been some missed targets, so just want to keep that on your radar. Also, watch our videos in the BB Learn shell. Those kind of help give you guidance, help kind of set up some thinking as you enter a mode or a module, I should say, or enter a new assignment. So be mindful of those. Do what you can to stay engaged. This next week coming up is going to be, I think, our busiest week when we consider paper one, launching paper two, and the outline, and then all of the work that is going to kind of happen along that week. I think we just really want to stay focused on that. Please remember I have office hours today, 2:30 to 3:30, and with that in mind, I want to share with you some important news on that front. Those of us that are teaching English 110 this session, we decided to add extra credit for office hours visits. So you can earn 1 point extra credit for each visit on today or next Friday, so up to 2 points. If you visited last week, I'll add a point. So you'll already have extra credit in your pocket, but you can still earn one more by coming to the 24th or 31st session. Of course, you're always welcome to come to any of the office hours and visit and check in, but just want to let you know those extra credit points are available. Coming up, we have that paper one. It does require a cover letter. I think those of you who have heard about that in the SI sessions, and some of you see me on top of that, but I just want to kind of give you a heads up that we do need that. I consider it pretty informal as long as we're kind of following along with what the prompt requires of the cover letter, and then just having something that starts off the essay, so it goes on the first page, and then segueing into the essay from there. This is optional and not required, but you can submit an updated draft of your paper one by 5 p.m. today to the drafts board at the top of the link to all discussions. So go to that course content folder that you'll see in the left-hand side. Click on it and you'll see the drafts board is there. And I'm just going to give you, one last chance to sort of take, maybe if you've taken my comments and you've made improvements, post that up there. If it's just the same draft that you had from before, I would just ask that you not submit that. Would like to see just new material there that you would like me to check out. I'll do my best to get to it this weekend. If for some reason I'm running a little bit late, I could always grant some minor extensions, but hopefully I can get all those completed by early afternoon Sunday. I want to talk about paper two ideas. The outline will be due on Wednesday, so that's going to come up pretty quickly, and I want you to definitely be using this weekend and early next week to be thinking about what you want to do. So paper 2 is cultural criticism. You take a look at you take a focused look at a text from mass media, and when we use the word text, we can mean anything that's a piece of rhetoric. Song lyrics, a scene or aspect from a TV show or film, a commercial, or anything from the genres we've studied this session so far, or what we have upcoming. You'll make an argumentative claim and examine connections of specific values, desires, fears, beliefs, and anxieties with the audience. So that's what we're kind of looking for. Try to be focused and framed. So we don't want to be too big in our scope. So I use this as an example. This thesis is sounds interesting. So the CBS sitcom The Big Bang Theory traffics in the proud geek trope to make it cool to be smart for its educated audience. So that's a nice ring to it. Sounds like possibly a good thesis to set up a paper. To me, this is potentially a much longer paper than you would be writing. Instead, you might look at something real specific happening in a television show. And if you're a fan of The Big Bang Theory, you might think about Penny and Leonard and their relationship, maybe the first time they get together, how it plays into this nerdy is sexy narrative. Or you might look at the darker side of the show, like Penny's drinking tendencies and how they're portrayed. You also might look at the show's intersections with Comic-Con nerd culture, such as the Stan Lee appearance and what role that plays, the superhero mythology crossing paths maybe with another character. So you really want to kind of get a little bit lower. You don't want to look at a show from the 10,000 foot level. You want to kind of get closer and get a little more focused on that. I will say too, with TV, again, just be topic specific, scene specific, or character specific. And you could, I think, pull off an episode, especially for those of you who mentioned you're fans of Black Mirror. I think you could look at an entire episode of a show like that that's episodic in its nature. With film, you want a specific character, how he, she, or they interact with our understanding of culture, gender, societal roles, and values. We also could have a scene that is questioned or controversial for what it includes or excludes. That might be a nice topic for your cultural criticism. With music, we could bring in the lyrics from a song and have that examined. We could also look at a music video like Childish Gambino's This Is America, maybe picking out an aspect of that video, like its portrayal of gun violence. We could look at Beyonce's Lemonade, and maybe we could look at that sort of visual and lyrical sort of combination and how it operates. With advertising, you can consider a television commercial, all of its aspects. We already did that with a print ad, but you could do that with a television ad. Cyberculture, you might pick out a few Instagram posts from a celebrity and examine them, or you might look at a series of tweets. And definitely research what you choose, and I recommend Google Scholar. So go to the Google Scholar search bar and bring in those sources as you kind of work on your own essays. And consider too those 3 chapters that you read from our textbook, especially when it's talking about how to look at a specific medium. So I just want to put that sort of a little bit, plant a bug in your brain for those ideas. If you're wanting to sort of float some paper 2 ideas to me, definitely send those my way, or you could check in during office hours and we can talk some of those through. But I think students, the big mistake I've seen is students trying to go too broad, trying to look at an entire show like Breaking Bad and then look at its portrayal of some part of criminal culture. That can be really significant. But maybe looking at one episode and then how it maybe changes the character dynamic for a specific character and what that means for the show, and then kind of look at from a culturally critical way, I think can be really helpful. So my goal was to keep this video under 10 minutes with everything I needed to check in on, and I think I'm going to do it. That's all for now. Reach out if you have questions. Hope to see you during office hours, and I hope you have a great weekend.